given that question, the question of how should we commemorate the border war and how should we discuss it, I've given it some thought. And I don't know that I have any definitive answer any more than anyone else. But the tragedy of it, I think, is that people who essentially looked alike and in many ways shared some values, not political values, but most of the people of western Missouri and the people who settled Kansas from the western states of Ohio and Illinois and New England, they were all Protestant Christians for the most part. They disagreed politically, but the tragedy to me is how people that shared some common values and background and ethnicity, you might say, were willing to some of them to absolutely kill each other because of the hostility and the incidences and the terrible events that led up to the Civil War and then culminated with the raid. And certainly, as I said, the Missouri people, they didn't suffer as dramatically with one dramatic event and horrible event as the raid on Lawrence, but many isolated farm families and people in western Missouri had suffered not only one night, but months of being attacked and having their possessions and even their lives taken over the entire course of the 4-year war. So I think that we need to try to understand how horrible things happen, what we might think about in our own time to learn how to live more peacefully together. And so I think that it is important to look back at this period, because after all, the Civil War was the defining event in United States history. We wouldn't have the nation we have today without the decisive outcome of the Civil War, when 4 million enslaved African Americans eventually were freed. We had a very different country in 1865. We had a different interpretation of the federal government, and it was decided that it was a union and the states were not free to break away.